30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee, featuring Tennessee Radio Hall of Famer George Plaster, Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame coach Watson Brown, and young guns Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in on a beautiful, for the moment, Wednesday in Nashville, Tennessee. So they've moved our set just a little bit, but we've got the nice backdrop. And most importantly, I have my little chair back. Oh, yeah, that's big. So that's sort of the status report right now. At the moment, it's not raining. Give it 10 minutes. Who knows what will happen? Let's check in first in Murfreesboro and say hello to Mr. Kelly Holcomb. Kelly, how are you?
Not Kerry, Jorge. I'm Kelly.
I know. It almost came out that way.
Hey, that's kind of discouraging when they moved you to one side of the building. I mean, is the next step out the building? Is that what's going to happen or no?
Well, I think they've contemplated it. I mean, I definitely think it's gotten discussed. No, there's a lot of stuff coming in here in the next week with the NHL draft in Nashville. They're going to use this site for a lot of different stuff, which is very exciting. It's going to be a crazy week.
You going to be there for the draft, George?
I am.
You are? You going to be there for the draft party and everything?
So, Kelly, 20 years ago, the NHL draft came here, and Butch Spiriden's office was helping with all of it. And Ellie Westman calls me, dear friend, and says, I'm taking you to dinner. I've got a wish list. Well, one of the wish list items was an 8-hour remote at the NHL draft on that Saturday. And I'll say this, the city really rallied around that event. It drew over 13,000. And I think the league was stunned because I think up until that time, the draft had never been a big deal. In fact, most of it, I think, had been done by phone. Nashville, in a lot of ways, has taught the NHL some marketing stuff. Vegas has probably taken it and gone a step further, but I think they copied a lot of the things that the Preds did. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, everything now with the draft, with any kind of draft, it's being highly publicized and everybody's trying to get to be involved with it. So it's I guess it's a cool place. You never thought about this. I can remember when they had the first NFL draft, which is kind of crazy. The old, it was almost black and white, man. It was crazy, but how that thing's taken off, and now basketball does it, and it's just everybody wants to know what's going on. That's for sure.
The part of it that I don't get in the NFL draft is all these people who come from other cities and just hang around and drink.
Crazy.
And that, I don't know. I mean, of the vacation options that are out there,
yeah,
maybe I'm wrong, because I will admit going to Green Bay, that is appealing to me. That's the one that is.
Have you ever been to Green Bay, George?
One time I've done a game there, did a preseason game at Lambeau, and just loved it. Now, I'll also say this, 75 degrees in August sounds better to me than 15 below.
Yeah.
I could handle Lambeau at about 35 degrees, but the below zero,
If anybody that's listening, or Billy and David, if they ever get a chance to go to Green Bay to watch a football game, that is really a cool place to watch a football game, because you have to stay in Appleton, which is about 30 minutes away. You know that. We talked about that. And then you have to drive the day of the game. And then you get there, and it's like a 1950s town that has not turned the page. And then all of a sudden it opens up, and there's a huge NFL stadium there, and the renovations that they've done is amazing. So if you ever get a chance to go, that would be one of the places I would tell you to go to Green Bay to watch a football game, because there's nothing like it.
You know, Kelly, when we were it was a preseason game, so they had like 4 buses taking players and staff. And I was on a bus with some players, and Kevin Carter knew that I was really pumped. And he told me, he said, Plaz, you won't believe when we get there. He said, it's in the middle of a residential section.
Crazy, man. It's crazy.
Think about if you live somewhere. Yeah, I'm going across the street to Lambeau.
Well, it's
crazy.
It's a different place. And I can remember when I was with the Indianapolis coach, I don't think it was the first game of the season, but it was the first game of deer season. It was the opening day of deer season,
yeah.
and that was the first game that they had. And when we got there, everybody was dressed in orange. It was crazy. They were all in the backyards. They were all tailgating. They all had their fires. It was cold, and they all had their orange suits on. They had just been. It was an unbelievable scene when we pulled up, and I'm like, that's crazy.
No matter what Aaron Rodgers says, he's going to miss that atmosphere. He can lie about it or do whatever. But, you know, JETS, that's nice, but it ain't Green Bay.
No, and JETS, when you start playing bad, them JETS fans get on you really bad, just like the Giants fans. I can remember playing the Giants and coming out when they do the player introductions. They would call your name. They'd say Kelly Holcomb, Middle Tennessee State University. And after the PA announcer said that, the whole crowd goes, sucks. So it's you know, those play. There's really nothing like Green Bay, because those fans, I mean, they rarely boo. They're going to boo sometimes, but it's just such a small place, and they love the Green Bay Packers, and they've supported them whether they win or lost. But they've had such success for the past 20 years. Past 30 years, actually, with Brett Favre and with Aaron Rodgers. It's going to be interesting to see what Jordan Love does with it.
Ooh, he's under a real microscope, but they're great people up there. It's a wonderful deal, and you're right. Anybody watching this, if you ever get the chance to go to Lambeau, do it. It's a bucket lister. Now, let's check in with, I had a great line. I'm not going to use it. Billy, how are you this day?
I'm good, George. Oh, I need to.
Do you have a little echo?
He doesn't have a piss poor attitude today, does he?
No, better attitude today. I'm ready to roll.
Why is that?
Kelly straightened me up yesterday. Sometimes you need a little straightening up.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. How does he do that?
I don't know. Kelly's got a way of doing it. I don't know. I think it's probably the Boots Donley effect. He straightened Kelly out a few times.
I believe that
me out more than a few. I wanted to punch Coach Donnelly on more than one occasion,
and he knows it, doesn't he?
Oh, I'm sure he does.
Oh yeah.
Those Boots stories. We need to have a show with hour and a half of just straight Boots Donnelly stories,
and maybe give him the ability to react. A little bit to it.
Y'all need to hear the story. Y'all need to hear the story one day when I had a really bad game. And my coach called me that morning. It was a Sunday morning. I was sleeping in. He said, Kelly, he said, Coach Donnelly wants to see you in the Oval Office, son. And I went up there, and that was not good.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Did you know it wasn't going to be good?
Well, yeah, I played awful. I mean, we played a team we played like Campbellsville, Kentucky. And, I mean, we beat them like 70-0, but I just didn't play well. I just didn't play good. I mean, I knew we were going to beat them. It was me being young, me being not focused. It didn't matter if I played good. We were going to win the game anyway. And I went out in there and I laid an egg, and, dude, it was not good the next day with a boy. Matt Cruz talked about that couch, and you try to because Coach Donnelly was a psychologist. So he sits in that seat. And then when he starts talking, you start sinking in that couch and you start sinking back. Well, that's kind of a psychology trick where he's over you. So he's got authority over you, you know. So nobody wanted to get back there on the back of that couch. That's why Matt said, or somebody the other day said, I'm going to sit on the front of the couch. And I tried that, but it didn't last long.
Matt Cruz, by the way, is the CEO of the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix, and he will join us during the 3:00 hour. We taped the interview yesterday, and he's a former MTSU player, and he had some funny stuff about Boots. Let's check in with David. Check out the jacket here. Well done.
Always good to rep the A.
Well done.
I'm going to echo y'all's comments a minute ago. My mom had season tickets with the Packers for 2 years. And she said, that fan base is very knowledgeable. She's a Braves fan as well. She said on par with the Braves about knowing their team, knowing their history, knowing just the culture of the organization. So I would second that. She said it's one of the best experiences of her life being up at Lambeau.
Braves had a big win last night in Philly. The Phillies are now 9 back. The Mets are 13.5 back. And the Marlins, of all people, are in second place. They're 5.5 back. Then they play next weekend in Atlanta. And there's a chance that old Jorge might be there. Just thought I'd tell you. Billy, do we have an update?
We do.
Really?
It revolves around today's games in Omaha. So
really?
Because you don't seem to want to talk about yesterday's news.
I want to talk about yesterday.
No, go ahead and talk about yesterday. Billy was wearing his purple and gold last night.
I mean, we can't be switching it up today if we don't. I mean, this is the update that we don't mention yesterday.
I want Tony Basilio back on air, dude.
I don't think he wants it. First of all, if he's smart, he's getting some sleep. But do you all have any idea how long he went last night?
Probably too long.
Yeah.
They were airing their grievances.
They didn't get anything done.
They made that starter look like Tom Glavine, and he was making his first career start. So
and Billy was loving every single second of it, wearing his purple and gold.
I was too, to be honest with you. Now, I wanted Drew Beam because I know Drew Beam personally. So and Drew Beam was pitching. I mean, he was dealing for 6 innings.
The park helps a young pitcher because that is a big old cave.
Big.
And if you'll notice, there aren't many balls getting out of there. This is not Great American Small Park in Cincinnati. This is a big old mammoth cave. Anyway, Tennessee is out. The 2 games today are, help me here, Florida against TCU
at 1:00, and then Wake Forest and
the
LSU
one going on right now.
Yes, and then Wake Forest and LSU tonight at 6:00,
which will be a huge home field advantage for LSU. They'll probably have 90% of that crowd.
Oh yeah, and there's more and more. I mean, every night TCU or LSU is there in Omaha. They're making more money for that stadium, that city. Rocco's Pizza, I think they're up over 24,000 Jello shots now. So the LSU faithful have made their presence felt up there.
Yeah, those are $5 a piece. So just imagine that revenue right there.
Yeah, well, I saw where the Raising
Jello shots.
Yeah, the Raising Cane's founder, who is apparently a big LSU guy, paid almost $27,000 for a bunch of Jello shots, and all the money goes to the Omaha Food Bank. So it's going to a great cause. So there's some discrepancies, but obviously
help some people.
Yeah. But Ole Miss had a guy do that last year too. So, but yeah, that's what we've got in Omaha. George, yesterday this came across the ticker. Tyreek Hill is under investigation in an alleged altercation in Miami. Under investigation on allegations of assault and battery at a Miami Beach marina. So it feels like this happens every year with Tyreek. He gets into a little situation, but it never really affects his play on the field. So,
at the marina.
Yeah, at the Miami Beach Marina. So I guess he's on a little vacation.
Under the places that I've always thought were safe was the marina.
The Miami Marina, that's for sure.
No question. I mean, I don't know what you say other than let's get it figured out.
Well, luckily for him and for the Dolphins, his issues have not ever really felt too big and have impacted his play. So,
well, now wait a minute. What was the charge?
The charge. Let's see.
He's got a little anger management issue. What's the big deal?
He allegedly hit a marina employee during a disagreement that took place on Sunday. Miami Sports Radio show host Andy Slater reported that Hill slapped the employee on the back of the head, but that the employee has declined to press charges at the time.
Okay.
So, at this time.
We move on.
And I want to throw this in here. Last night, Nationals Mackenzie Gore and Victor Robles were engaged in a dugout exchange. Mackenzie Gore was not happy with teammate Victor Robles' effort on a single to center, by Cardinals left fielder Jordan Walker in the second inning of the Cardinals' win last night. Robles appeared to have a chance at catching a line drive off Walker's bat, but let the ball drop in front of him for a hit. And they talked about it. It's good. It happens. Nationals manager Dave Martinez said they're trying to compete, but obviously a little bit of bickering there.
It's going to be a long year in Washington.
Yeah, it feels like this is sort of the beginning of
the old line used to be first in war, first in peace, last in the National League.
Is this good to see as Braves people, George and David?
No, not to this level. I mean, Washington, they've made some trades, obviously, to beef up their farm system, but it looks like it's 3 years away from really taking hold, as opposed to Oakland, which made all these trades and didn't get a damn thing.
The Cardinals have heard you talking, George. They're winners of 4 in a row.
No, they need to be. It's because they're playing the Nats.
Yeah, they're they took 2 out of 3 from the Mets as well, who are kind of struggling as well. But their offense is too good to not figure it out at some point.
I don't get it.
Do they play Colorado?
Yeah, that's the real question. Who do they play next?
How about the Reds have won 10 in a row?
10 straight.
Yeah, that place was hopping last night. I watched a little of it. I'll admit, I'm kind of rooting for them a little bit. Now, I won't be rooting for them this weekend, and I'll be up there. But I kind of like their young nucleus. You can tell these guys really want it. Good for them.
I'm going to say that no matter how well they're playing, that crowd will be 65-35 Braves fans.
Probably will be.
They'll pack it up there.
Yeah. Okay, update done?
That's it.
Okay. Terry McCormick, Main Street Media, is going to join us after the break. We'll get his best Lambeau Field story when we come back, and then we'll get into whatever is or isn't going on right now with the Titans. It is June. Things do get a little slow, but stick around. This will be fun. You're watching The George Plaster Show, and Kelly, don't you forget it.
Oh, I don't. How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Skylar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from. And for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685. Now that the weather has gotten considerably warmer, there's not a better place to spend a morning or an afternoon than Riverside Golf Lanes. So you've probably noticed the weather has gotten a lot warmer, and that means a couple of things in Nashville. It means baseball, and it really means golf. And for me, it's a visit to Riverside Golf Links. The course has improved dramatically. There are now 27 holes, including a 9-hole executive course. If you want tee times or more information, dial them up at 615-847-5074.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
So who said I can't be a golfer? Well, you know what? This is X Golf, located just down the road from the Fordyce Center in Bellevue. This is fun. It'll improve your golf game, and you need to stop in and check it out. 8138 Sawyer Brown Road, And who knows, I may get to 200 before it's all over. We are back, and we're about to say hello to Terry McCormick, Main Street Media, Titan Insider, however you want to call it. He is it. He's also a Yankee fan, which we're going to get on him about here in just a second. Let's bring him up here. Terry, how are you?
Doing well. I like the commercial of you swinging the golf club there, George.
No, don't say
you look,
that.
You look like how. Remember how the American League pitchers always looked when they got in the batter's box after they hadn't swung all season? That's kind of what it reminded me of.
Terry, he hits a driver 125 yards.
Oh, that's not true.
Billy
saw me hit a drive over 200.
Who?
That is true. That is
he
true.
Hit one over 200?
He hit one over 200.
75?
Listen, the steroids are working.
Oh, yeah, they are working. They're working all right.
I got some of that stuff your boy Roger was using.
Yes, George.
That he misremembered.
Yes. I used to work with a guy, and his golf game consisted of two clubs. He would hit an 8-iron, 120 yards almost every time, and then when he would get to the green, he'd use his putter. He used those two clubs on every hole, whether it was a par 3, 4, or 5.
That's crazy.
Why not?
Hit it straight.
I guess so.
It's got some value. So, Terry, before we start on whatever it is football-wise that's out there, what is your favorite Lambeau Field moment? Because I know you've been there several times.
Well, I went on a Monday night game, and that was really fun. It was up there. It was starting to get cold. It wasn't real cold. It was late October, early November, I think. And it was the Titans, Packers, obviously, and Brett Favre was the quarterback for the Packers then. And the Titans just harassed him the entire night. And the Titans weren't particularly good. This wasn't one of their better years, but that night they were lights out. I think they put up like 40-something points, and Lamont Thompson had 2 interceptions of Favre and a fumble recovery. In fact, he wound up on the Madden horse trailer. Remember the horse trailer?
Sure do. Good memory.
Yeah. Kelly, was the horse trailer a big deal? That was back when you played. Did you ever get on the horse trailer or have a teammate get on the horse trailer?
No, I don't. And this is really fun because I don't even remember that. Like the time that I was up there, though, they were refurbishing that stadium, so we literally dressed in trailers. That was with the Colts, and then I went back up there. I went back up there for a preseason game one time, and then I went for we had a practice and another preseason game when I was with Buffalo, but I don't remember that, Terry.
The horse trailer was something that Madden would do with whoever the player of the game was when he was doing Monday Night Football. And so I must have been up there right after you were, because the renovation had just been completed and they were kind of showing this thing off. I would guess it was maybe in 2005 or 6, somewhere in that area.
Well, yeah, that's about, that was. So I just remember dressing in those trailers. I was like, this is ridiculous. But I mean, what you see now, though, the renovations they did to that state, that's one of the, if not the best, it's one of the better ones in the NFL. There's no question.
Yeah, it's a really cool place. Just and as you guys mentioned earlier about it being right there in the middle of a neighborhood. The only thing I guess that I can kind of sort of compare it to is like the area around Wrigley before they commercialized it all. There with the Cubs. It kind of reminds you of that, because that, Wrigley was in a neighborhood like that.
It's also really cool too when we went up there in the preseason and practiced with them for a couple of days. You see those kids at the top of the hill give those guys bikes, and they ride those bikes down, and those kids ride them bikes back up. I mean, there's 100 kids out there, and it's just it's a pretty cool setting for football. It really is.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine being a kid up there and back in the day, and somebody like Brett Favre or Reggie White rides your bicycle down?
Absolutely. Like here you go, man. Like it's one of the coolest things ever. You see it on the TV, but then you actually see it in person. It's a really cool deal.
In the renovation, they went from 59,000 to about 78 with that big old upper deck in the end zone. And it's, again, if you ever get the chance to go, it's a bucket list deal. Just do it, period. Do it. Okay, Terry, let's take the one piece of business that's really out there with the Titans right now, and that involves DeAndre Hopkins. You know, everything we're hearing is that he's kind of slow walking it. Do you think it's because the only two teams we know about are the Titans and the Patriots? I mean, where are the Chiefs? Where's Buffalo? Where's Dallas? Some of the teams that, you know, in theory, you could say, boy, if they got Hopkins, it would take them over the top.
Yeah, I think he's kind of slow walking it, as you put it there, George. I mean, obviously, with the Titans and the Patriots, he would come right in and probably be the number one receiver in their room, hands down. I think, you know, he's probably waiting either one for somebody to, you know, put together a contract type deal that he really likes, or maybe waiting on one of these teams that's a contender to get into camp or get closer to camp and decide that maybe their wide receiver room isn't all that and they need a little bit of an upgrade. And then there's always the possibility, if he waits until after camp starts, George, that some team could suffer an injury and that would create an opening for him and kind of drive up the market. Now, personally, you know, this is just my opinion. Most guys want to be on a roster before camp. So I can't imagine that DeAndre Hopkins would be willing to wait and gamble like that and not be on a roster at the start of camp. But if he does that and it pays off, he could end up with a better team than what's offered him so far in the Titans and the Patriots.
Let me bring Kelly in. Kelly, you're hearing this. What is your theory as to what kind of little games is Hopkins playing here?
I mean, he's just playing a veteran game. That's what I told you a couple of weeks ago. Like, if I had the opportunity, he's got all the credentials. He's got all the credibility. The guy can play. He's a really good receiver. He's got a great catch radius. He runs great routes. He's probably not as fast as he used to be. But if he can sit out the first couple of weeks of training, he's going to sit out because he knows he's going to play this year. I mean, that's just – if I was to ever have that leverage, I would have used that leverage because I know that I'm going to play. But, like, I didn't like training camp. I got to the point where I couldn't stand training camp. And when you get his age and you get older – that's what you do. I mean, Brett Favre tried it. He tried it. He did it a couple of times. All these guys are doing it. Like Saquon Barkley's, we're talking about contract issues with him, but he's trying to do the same thing. He's going to sit out as long as he can. So I just think it would be, and Terry said it. I've said it too. I think it would be intriguing for him to come to a place like here or New England where he's been the number one guy. He can walk in that room and be the number one guy. And he can help these young guys learn how to be professionals. That's what's intriguing to me about him coming to the Titans. It's probably the same thing for New England, but when you've got a room like the Titans do they've got a young guy in Treylon Burks who they like. Obviously, he's probably going to be the number one guy if nobody comes in, but he could certainly help those guys learn how to be professional football players.
So, Kelly, Terry brought up a really good point about, okay, let's just say whatever team it is that he hasn't played for before that he signs with, if he skips a couple of weeks of training camp, and I don't blame him, he's probably earned that right, but how hard is it to learn a system in 2 weeks?
Well, that's what everybody talks about, George. Here's the deal. Like, everybody runs curl routes. Now, it's how you run a curl route. Do you call it a curl route? Do you call it a hook route? Do you call it a stop route? Do you call it a button route? Like, you just have to put the terminology of the team you're going to what you're familiar with. Like, some people call a slant. Some people, when I was with Sam White's back in the day, he called it twin dragon. So it's just what is the terminology that I'm used to, and this new team that I'm coming to. Can I put it in my brain fast? It's not very hard for a guy like DeAndre Hopkins. He understands, and they'll keep him there after hours. There's no question. They'll give him the playbook, and then the position coach, his wide receiver position coach, will meet with him quite a bit. When everybody else is taking a break, he'll be meeting. So he'll pick it up. That's no big deal for a guy that's been in the league as long as he has.
be concerned about, guys, if DeAndre Hopkins plays this card, like you said, of waiting a couple of weeks before he signs with somebody and missing the first 8 to 10 days of camp or whatever, is not that he can't come in and learn the playbook. He's been around the league and he can do that. The thing I would be concerned about is what type of football. He can't come in real good football shape. Right. He may come in here, be here 3 days and pull a hamstring, and then he's missed another 3 weeks on top of the 2 weeks he's already missed. That would be my concern if he lays out and isn't there to answer the bell at the start of camp with somebody.
George, that is the concern, because you never know what kind of – and these guys keep themselves in shape really good, but when you get out there on the football field, it's different than running routes with a guy in South Florida or Arizona. It's different because the speed of the game picks up, and that's a really good point, Terry. That is the real concern with a guy taking all that time off and trying to come back and catch up to speed.
So, Terry, let me ask you this. Off what you have gleaned from being out there a lot, are they encouraged that they've got a really good shot? Not particularly. Where do they stand privately?
I mean, I think they probably are cautiously optimistic that they can make a run at DeAndre Hopkins. Obviously, they brought him in here, and he was agreeable to come in. They showed him the town. He hung out with Ryan Tannehill and some of the people that, there in the building and all, got to know them during his time here. And I think that in regards to that, that's a step in the right direction. But is it enough to bring him on board and get him here? Obviously, the biggest thing in that's going to talk is money. And then the second thing is the opportunity, which the opportunity is he would be the number one receiver on a middle of the road team. Would he rather be, say, a number 2 receiver on a contending team if the price and the money are relatively close?
Okay, which brings up the question. I mean, we know here, with what is one of the 2 or 3 worst receiver cores in the league, he'd be the number 1 by a mile. But then there's the whole, he's never won a ring. Kelly, doesn't that ultimately perhaps trump everything else, that you get to a certain age where you're saying, I want a ring?
I don't think there's any question about that, but it's what his goals are, what his desires are. Does he want to, like, if you're going to a team that's a contender, he's probably not going to be a number 1 receiver. So does he want to make that, because he's never probably been in that role? So do you want to be in that role, or would you like to be in the role that you're used to of being the number 1 guy and helping younger guys? That's the things that he's thinking about, George. But I'm like you. I wanted to win a ring. I wanted to be part of that. I wanted to be in the playoffs. I wanted to be part of a championship, AFC championship or NFC championship game, and have the opportunity to go to a Super Bowl. So there's a lot of things that has to be weighed out here, and he's putting himself in that situation by the way that he's played these previous years, that he can do that. So I think it would be great for him to come here. I really do. And if I were Ryan Tannehill, I'm going to give him, like, y'all can use some of my money to get him here. Yeah. So that's what I would be thinking.
Well, here's another thing too that might be on the radar in terms of what Hopkins is thinking about, because you look at the numbers he's put up over his career, and granted, there's a log jam of great wide receivers who are lined up waiting for their turn to get in Canton. But would he rather go be a number 2 receiver in Buffalo and catch 60 passes, or would you rather go be a number 1 here or somewhere else, catch 75 passes or 80 passes, whatever, and continue building your resume that might take you to Canton someday?
That's true. That's a good point.
Terry's a good point.
Terry's on fire today. I like it. I mean, but that is a good point. You got to think about things like that, and guys do think about stuff like that. So I wanted a ring, but people have all kind of different goals, George.
You wanted a ring, you settled for this show.
Exactly. I'm on the George Plaster show now. Good gracious. How far have I fallen?
What a real come down, Lord. So, Terry, did he give them any sort of, look, I'll make a decision by
Yeah, I don't have any indication one way or the other if that's what went on. If the Titans gave to me the Titans, if they gave him some kind of deadline, that would be a little bit foolhardy on their part
Yeah.
because if you say, hey, we need to know by the opening of training camp, July 25th. Well, if DeAndre Hopkins decides he wants to be a Titan on August the 1st, are you going to tell him no? I wouldn't think so. So to me, this is all in DeAndre Hopkins' court. It's what does he want? How much money can he make? And what is the situation he's getting into?
Kelly,
I guarantee you Ryan Tannehill's texting him every day. If not every day, every other day. Because he understands, like we all know in this league, you've got to have a guy. I'm not saying that one of the guys that are with the Titans now couldn't blossom into something, but you've got a proven veteran that has done it, that could help you, that could help the team, that could help that room. So if I'm the quarterback, I am doing my best to get DeAndre Hopkins here. If we can afford him, I'm doing my best. And if we can't afford him, I'm going to the GM and I'm saying, hey, I've got a big contract. You can take some of mine. I really would. I would do that just to get him out there. Now I don't know if Ryan's like that, but I would definitely do that if I had that opportunity.
Yeah, he may be offering room and board, Terry.
He might be. I want to throw this at Kelly too, because you talk about every quarterback needing to have a guy, and that certainly is the case. And AJ Brown was obviously Tannehill's guy.
Yeah.
And he basically AJ knew where Ryan was going to throw the football on almost every route, and Ryan knew and trusted that AJ was going to be there. But then when Julio Jones came here, I don't know what it was, but for whatever reason, Tannehill and Julio Jones never really got on the same page. And I think that may have had something to do with his interception total rising in 2021, because it just seemed like that the two of them, that one would zig and the other would zag. And yeah, they connect occasionally, but you look at the final numbers and it wasn't the same as how he would throw to AJ Brown.
That's an
interesting. And by the
question.
way, if it was 3rd and 7, Julio was on the sideline, which I never quite got, but whatever.
Well, that's an interesting question, Terry, because when I was in Cleveland, Dennis Northcutt was the guy that when I walked on campus, me and him just clicked. I don't know what it was. Like I knew what he was doing. I knew where he was going. He could run the wrong route, and I knew by his foot. I knew what he was doing. And that seems like what Ryan Tannehill had with A.J. Brown. But then there was another guy, and I'm not going to say his name, that like he ran really good routes, but I couldn't tell what he was doing. Like I didn't know what that guy was going to do. It's really weird. Like there's some guys you can throw to, and then other guys that are really good players, and I still completed balls to him. But I just couldn't, for some reason, I just couldn't get on the same page with him all the time. And I would get so frustrated. Me and him, I'd get angry with him. But there's just instances that you're on the same page with a guy, you're on the same wavelength with Dennis Northcutt. But this other guy, I couldn't, like a simple slant route, I couldn't complete a ball to him. Now, I did complete some, but I just didn't know what he was doing. So that's kind of what you're talking about. And I can't, it's like it's in the stars. I don't know what it is, but there's some guys that are just – you just can't hook up with them with a pass. I don't understand it.
Well, it definitely didn't click for Tannehill and Julio Jones the way it did for Tannehill and A.J. Brown. That's for sure. It'll be interesting to see if they bring DeAndre Hopkins in here. And I guarantee you both those guys will probably put the work in to try and make that connection, because that's what this entire passing game is going to hinge upon, really.
Absolutely.
Okay, Terry, after the break, we'll get into these next 5 weeks before training camp, because it's, I don't know, 4.5, 5 weeks, and then it's for real. So we'll talk about that after the break. And as we go to the break, let's talk Big Machine Music City Grand Prix. Later in the show, you will hear from the CEO, Matt Cruz, and he'll give you some real specifics on how all this has gotten set up over the last 2 to 3 years. Again, when I do this commercial, I'm not going to lie to you. I've never been to a Grand Prix, but come August the 6th, I'll be able to say, oh yes, I have been. What has impressed me is how many of you who are in the same boat as me until 2 years ago, have come away going, this is one of the coolest sporting events we've ever seen. I get it. You've got people going over 200 miles an hour around a football stadium site. I'm excited about it. You should be as well. Man, they've done a beautiful job of setting up 3 days of great music. Matt's going to talk about that in the interview. And now let's get to tickets. They've been on sale now for a little more than a month and a half. You can go, and they've got all kinds of price ranges. You can go general admission all the way up to some incredible amenities. Simply go to musiccitygp.com. That's musiccitygp.com, and stay tuned. We're back with more as we talk with Terry McCormick. Stay tuned.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
At Baird, we have a different slant on global financial advice. That global capabilities mean nothing without personal attention. We have investor relationships in 35 countries and market expertise in over 40 industry verticals, all to help make the most important investment connections of all, yours. Global financial advice with a client-first approach. It's the shape of things to come. Discover the Baird difference at BairdDifference.com.
Hope all of you are having a great Wednesday afternoon. You can see Terry McCormick in the right box from Main Street Media as we talk some Titans football. Kelly Holcomb, of course, in the middle. Terry, let me ask you this. Obviously, other than DeAndre Hopkins, what's there now is pretty much what it's going to be come training camp. Outside of wide receiver, where they clearly thus far have not addressed to anybody's satisfaction. What else do you think is the biggest hole in what they're trying to do that you say, I don't like it?
Oh, it has to be the offensive line, George. Even though they addressed it, they basically addressed it with a bunch of guys who are not proven. I mean, you're talking about moving Aaron Brewer from left guard, where he didn't do particularly well last year, over to play center to replace Ben Jones. You're talking about two backups in Andre Dillard and Daniel Brunskill stepping in at left tackle and right guard, respectively. And you're talking about a rookie, even though he's a first-round pick, he's still a rookie in Peter Skoronski, likely manning the left guard spot. And then depth-wise, they didn't really do a lot to keep themselves out of a Dennis Daly type situation. If somebody like that had to play, they basically kept a lot of the same guys that were backups last year. So to me, this offensive line, one, has to gel quickly, and some of these guys who have been backups have to prove that they're NFL caliber starters. And two, they have to avoid injury, because last year you saw when Taylor Lewan went down, then they lost Nate Davis, then they lost Ben Jones. The line was in shambles last year, and they cannot afford a repeat of that because last year, because of that, they got Ryan Tannehill knocked out of action, and you saw what happened when that went down.
So let me bring Kelly back into this. It feels like almost they're saying we're going to see who gets cut late by other teams to try to improve the offensive line. Terry, first of all, is that what they're maybe thinking? And Kelly, can you gel an offensive line that way?
Well, first of all, if anybody that gets, unless it's somebody that's a shocking cap cut or something like that, anybody that gets cut in the final let goes there at the end of August, 1st of September, those guys you'd be bringing in would probably be backup and depth pieces. Not that they couldn't use something there, an experienced tackle, an experienced center, those sorts of things as backups. But certainly, I think that they're going to try and sink or swim with this five that they've got out there and get those guys to gel together, because changing out even one or two pieces can be disastrous, at least in the short run, for an offensive line.
Well, Kelly, take it and go.
Yeah, Terry kind of just answered the question, George. Like if you get a offensive lineman that is very experienced, then yeah, he can come in and he can gel with the guys. But if you're picking off the tree of backups or guys that have never really played, yeah, that's something that you don't want to really get into, because that is hard. They're having to learn how to play the professional game. Whereas if you get an experienced guy that gets cut from a team, one man's treasure is one man's trash, another man's treasure. So if you get a guy that's been there and done that, you can gel those guys pretty fast because he knows how the game's played. But most of those guys are going to be backups, and that's kind of hard, George.
So let me go to the defensive side for just a second. It feels like they've had to throw up their hands and say, look, we've got so damn many problems. The defense is just what it is, and we're going to have to make it work because we got too many other holes. Are they good enough? And Kelly, I'll start with you. Are they good enough on the defensive end to get done what they would like, which to me, the goal should be to try to win the division, but it feels like so much of it is based more on Jacksonville than it is the Titans.
Yeah, I'm an offensive guy, George. Why are you asking me about defensive questions? I don't know. It just seems to me, and I've said it over and over, this is kind of a blanket answer, but like Mike Vrabel's a defensive guy, but that's kind of what they've struggled with since he's been here. So I don't know how that gets any better. Like they didn't draft any guys, which I get what it's Ron Carthon's first year. They wanted to put an emphasis on the offense, but they didn't draft any guys. They couldn't stop. They've had trouble stopping the pass for, I don't know, for years, it seems like. So you've got to be able to get pressure on people. If you're going to have a good defense in the National Football League, you've got to be able to pressure the passer with the front four guys. And I know that's hard, but the Chris Jones of the world that can get back there, he's a defensive tackle. but you got to have guys that can get pressure. And I'm not saying that the Titans don't, but that has an effect on what the secondary does. If there's nobody can get pressure, I don't care who it is. If you're a professional quarterback and they're not pressuring you, I don't care how good your secondary is, you're still going to complete balls. So it's all in sync together, George. And it's what they've struggled with. And I just don't understand it because the head coach is a defensive guy.
Terry, it seems like a long time ago in the playoff game where they sacked Joe Burrow 9 times. 9 times. Mrs.
No, and losing Harold Landry last year before the season ever started really put a crunch on that defense because he had given them the year before that outside presence that you needed coming off the edge. Now he's going to be back this year. He'll be back probably around the time training camp gets going. But a guy coming off an ACL, there's no guarantee he's going to be what he was before he hurt it the first year back. We've seen that time and time again with NFL players and college players too. So, they do have Harold Landry back. Everything on that defense is going to run off of Jeffrey Simmons and what he can do. Jeffrey Simmons is a dominant run stopper. He's a guy who can get to the quarterback on the interior and collapse the pocket. They just need a couple of guys to go with him. It was working last year when Danico Autry was healthy. He was that second presence so that Jeffrey Simmons, when he commanded the attention, somebody else was finishing the job. So with Landry back, with Autry back, with adding Arden Key, that front seven should be pretty decent in terms of getting after the passer. And like Kelly said, it's got to be able to help the secondary. And the secondary is really the biggest question mark on the defense to me, because you've got guys like Christian Fulton, who's been pretty good when he's out there, but hasn't been able to stay healthy. You got Caleb Farley, who's been a wreck in terms of what he's been able to do as a first-round pick with all the injuries that he's had. You've got, several other guys that you brought in here that, have not been, particularly effective in terms of, being consistent cover guys. They'll make a play here or there, then they struggle. You saw it with Roger McCreary last year as a rookie. The one thing about him that should be better is that he's not a rookie anymore, so that should help. Elijah Molden's another guy that's battled injuries. They need to stay healthy in the secondary, and they need those guys up front, like Kelly said, to get after the quarterback so that those guys in the secondary don't have to cover for a long time, because that's where a lot of the breakdowns occurred last year.
So, Terry, for people who are starving for football, it's what today is. Today is, by the way, the longest day of the year. This is truly, Kelly, the beginning of the summer solstice. Whatever the hell a solstice is, we've got it.
George, the king of useless information. That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So, Terry, is there anything between now and training camp of any real importance?
No, the basic thing is this. One, you obviously got to monitor the DeAndre Hopkins situation. And then, the players out there, they just need to, one, stay in shape, be ready to go at training camp, and don't do anything stupid. Don't get yourself hurt. Don't give the coach the 5 a.m. phone call that you need to be bailed out of jail or this type of thing. So that's basically kind of the period that you're in right now as you rev up for camp about 5 weeks from now.
Kelly, do not call me at 5 a.m. Number one, I'm not bailing you out. And it's not because I don't have the money, although I don't. But number two, I'm going to let you stay there. You'll do the show behind bars.
Don't worry about that, George. You're not my 5 a.m. call, I promise.
Good. Who is? Billy?
Hey, no, it's not Billy. Hey, Terry, can you it seems like Malik Willis is having a really good OTAs. It seems like he's doing pretty good. How big was that new rule that they put in place where the quarterback is it the 53-man roster? They don't count against the 53-man roster. How big is that for a lot of quarterbacks in the league? But for him, certainly. But it seems like, looking at what I've been reading, he's done really well.
Yeah, he's really improved. And he needed to, because it was obvious that he wasn't ready last year. But the new rule means that he would have to be kept on 53-man roster, and he would, be one of the 53, just like every other guard, tackle, center, receiver, what have you. And then he would be in a situation where he could be active on game day only if the other two quarterbacks were knocked out of action. So it's kind of like how the rule was back several years ago when there was an emergency third quarterback allowed to dress for the games. But yes, this does help Malik Willis's chances of sticking on the roster. And it all comes down to whether the Titans want to keep 3 guys on the 53 or if they want to keep 2 and try to have that third one on the practice squad. The interesting thing is if they try to slide him through to the practice squad, pass him through waivers, if he has a good preseason, somebody would probably put a claim in on him because he does have the athletic ability to maybe succeed at some level in this league, even though he didn't show a lot last year. He did look much improved in terms of his comfort level.
Yeah, I just don't think you can get him to the practice squad. I'm with you. I don't think with him being a 3rd round pick, somebody will snatch him up. I just don't think that's the way to go.
Terry,
I don't think people either.
I got to step in because we're about out of time. First of all, thank you for taking the time. And secondly, enjoy the rest of the summer. Your search for a wild card playoff berth should be riveting.
If we keep playing guys that we're playing right now, Yankees, we're probably 20 games out of first by the end of the year.
When I get you this book I'm reading about Steinbrenner, you are going to love it.
Those are some interesting books. I remember reading The Bronx Zoo and by Sparky Lyle back in the day when I was in high school, and how enlightening that thing was in terms of what went on behind the scenes during those late 70s Yankees.
This one's got a lot of that stuff. It's 600 pages, and I can't put it down. Listen, have a good one. And again, thank you as always.
All right. See you guys.
See you.
Terry McCormick covering the Titans for Main Street Media. After the break, we'll have Stat of the Day, and then we'll get into the NFL's proposed crackdown on gambling. All of this as part of Kelly's World of Football. Stick around.
Hey, thank you for meeting with me today. The insurance company has made an offer.
Already? How?
They've offered you the entire policy.
Thank you, Blair.
You're so welcome.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you.
This is my buddy and former Nashville Sounds PA announcer Eric Berner. I always laughed in the old days at Greer Stadium when I would walk in, Eric would immediately play my favorite song, Van Halen's Jump. But then I learned he actually has a real job with Rockcastle Wealth Advisors.
Yeah, George, that's what I do. I help people in the pursuit of making their money live as long as they do. Everybody's situation is different, so I use a customized and individualized, personalized approach to the person I'm working with. Old 401ks, retirement planning, insurance planning, inheritance planning. Those are things that people like to get some more information about.
One of the things I find is people don't even know where to start, and that's where you come in.
Yeah, so I can usually help people with an initial phone call or meeting that is a no charge and no obligation.
And I'll bet you have a phone number and a website.
I do, George. They can call me at 615-235-1058 or rockcastlewealth.com or Eric at rockcastlewealth.com.
Hello, this is Celeste Middleton, a State Farm agent in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I want to help my neighbors and local businesses be proactive and assess their risk before something unexpected happens. We want you to have a thorough understanding of your coverages to have the best protection when you need it. We can create a personal price plan for you. Our team has over 70 years of experience helping people in Middle Tennessee. We have an awesome team with integrity and provide honest and prompt communication, and we love what we do and genuinely care about everyone we work with at our office. Give us a call at 615-895-2700. Send us a message at celestemiddleton.com or walk in at our office at 803 North Thompson Lane in Murfreesboro. We would love to earn your business.
Welcome to John English Antique Sports and Cards, located at 204 East Depot Street in beautiful downtown Shelbyville, Tennessee. Their phone number is area code 931-492-4304. John, obviously, I've been blown away by what I've seen at your place. I've now been there 3 times. But for the person who's never been, what should they expect?
Well, we have a 3,000 square foot store, George. Half of it is vintage cards in all sports, and then half of the store is, a lot of people call it the museum, where there's a lot of early equipment and just the history of sports in general: baseball, football, basketball, golf, tennis, and other items.
When somebody comes in there that you know is a big sports fan, what is their normal reaction?
Well, I think that they're pleasantly surprised, and of course, being in Shelbyville, Tennessee, which is a small town that you would never expect a shop like we have to be in. So they're kind of, I don't want to say blown away, but as I said, pleasantly surprised.
Welcome back in. It is time for Stat of the Day on this Wednesday afternoon here in Bellevue. Stat of the Day presented to you by the good folks at John English Antique Sports and Cards, located in Shelbyville, Tennessee. 204 East Depot Street is where you can find them. They're open during the week, Tuesday through Friday from noon to 5, and on Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. So give them a call at 931-492-4304. Let's go back to South Beach, to the wild card leading Miami Marlins, who are about to get underway here in 15 minutes against the Blue Jays. Luis Ariz of the Marlins has recorded 3 5-hit games in the month of June. Only 4 players in MLB history have even recorded 4 5-hit games in a season. Can you name the last player to do so? 4 5-hit games in the regular season. Last player to do it in MLB.
Are you kidding?
Well, you said yesterday was too easy, so we're going to make it a little harder for you.
Yeah, and maybe a little too hard. Kelly, I'd love to hear where you're going.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think I saw something with 4-hit games the other day, or 5-hit games the other day, but I don't. I'm drawing a blank.
Okay, so
I haven't seen the answer. Ichiro Suzuki.
That's one of them.
Wow,
really?
I swear to you, I did not see that either.
Wow.
I mean, he was a hit machine.
Oh, he was.
Well,
and he had this thing where he could almost step out of the box as he was hitting and slap it toward the left.
Oh, I used to love watching him in the box.
Listen.
This was his iconic picture. He would always pull his shirt up, kind of, get ready to go, and then he'd slap it into left field.
He is not in the Hall of Fame, is he?
I don't think so. No,
he
but
should be.
He should. Here in the next,
he's not. He hasn't been eligible yet. He hasn't been gone long enough.
Yeah, because when did he leave?
4 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, that's still
so it's close.
Yeah,
man.
So
when he's eligible, he'll go.
For the heck's sake, do you know the last guy before him?
Tony Gwynn.
Tony Gwynn. There you go.
Boom, Kelly.
Nice.
Tony Gwynn.
Boy.
Yeah.
I was surely that y'all were going to mention him, but
he definitely would have come up.
This is really funny because I couldn't remember Ichiro's name. I kept thinking Hideki Matsuyama. He's a golfer.
Well, there was a Hideki Matsui
for the Cubs,
but here's
that
the
wasn't
thing.
it.
No, he was the Yankees.
Hideki Matsui.
Yeah.
Yankees.
He didn't play for the Cubs.
No,
who was the other guy?
There was a Cub. Yeah. Here's where I was going with it, where I probably got off track. Leadoff hitter who can run, Otis Nixon. former Sound, former Brave. Anyway, I'm glad. Good job, Billy.
Okay, Billy to the rescue again.
Hey, how do you say that guy's name? Because that guy can hit, man. He is a really good hitter.
Luis Arise.
Arise.
And the other one is Ichino.
Arise is hitting.
Oh, my goodness.
Barry Trotz.
Wow. Royalty in the building.
He said
very nice.
He said your name.
I tell you one thing. It's good to have him back in town. How about that? Okay, are we now? Yeah. He's in the he was in the white shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, are we ready for Kelly's big moment?
For Kelly's World of Football.
Let's do it. It's a moment you have breathlessly awaited. It's time for Kelly Holcomb's World of Football. As shocking as this may sound, Kelly Holcomb's World of Football has sponsors. It's brought to you in part by Baird Financial with Yaz Hassan and Justin Oldham, and by State Farm Insurance, located in Murfreesboro through agent Celeste Middleton. Okay, the topic for today is the NFL and their supposed crackdown on players gambling. Kelly, first of all, I get the feeling the league is a little surprised that they've got this problem.
I don't understand why they're surprised. It's been going on
I don't
forever.
either.
I can remember walking into a locker room at lunchtime and guys playing craps on the floor, and the media was in there. I'm like, that's crazy. So there's been situations, George, that's always been going on. It's been since the beginning of time when people are betting. I can remember playing for a team, and every Tuesday there would be a bunch of guys go down to another state, another city, and they would go on a boat and they would gamble. So it's I've had friends, George, I've had friends, not going to say any names, obviously, but I've had friends that have had to have interventions by families because of their gambling issues. So it's always been going on. And my question is, they're making all this noise about gambling, but are they really going to do something about it? It seems like they are. I understand that, but like, I've seen things go on planes. I've seen it in locker rooms. It's an ongoing thing. So they knew that stuff was going on. And for them to think that they didn't have a problem, like if you think you didn't have a problem, you're just turning your head on something that's really obvious.
Kelly, here is the part where they catch a lot of grief in a lot of it, and all of the sports leagues are right now. I get the fact they're trying to protect the integrity of the game.
Yeah.
But they're also turning around and accepting the DraftKings and the FanDuel money, and so-and-so is the official betting partner of the whatever league. And it seems to me you can't have it both ways.
Well, it's kind of like the hypocrisy going on with Live and the PGA. It's like you just can't you can't do that. Like you're trying to crack down on your guys, but then you're bringing in money from all these other organizations, like you just said, George. So we talk about it all the time. It's all about the money. If that's what they want to do, that's fine. But I just don't know how you. I don't know how you stop it. I know how you police it, but if you are policing it, are you going to say something? Okay, so let's just put this for instance, George. You're a security guy, and you see something that guys aren't supposed to be doing, and maybe we got a big game the next day, and it's one of your star players. As a security guy, are you going to say something? I don't know.
I think it depends on what the atmosphere is around the team. If the team gives you the look, I don't want to know, just bury it. Because there are teams that do that.
Absolutely.
And, it kind of depends on at the top What is the vibe? What is the culture that the team is really putting out there?
I totally agree, but I would go as far to say is all 32 teams turn their head the other way. I would be willing to say, like, I understand where you're coming from, and I understand it comes down to a moral issue by the security guy, but like, say the player, like you're really close with that player and he's doing it. That's a tough situation to be put into, and that comes to a moral compass about yourself. Are you going to turn him in? Well, then you've got an enemy for life now that was your friend. That's a tough situation to be put in. But to think that they think that that's never went on, they're kidding themselves, because it's always went on. And some of the things that I saw when I was playing, and this was 25 years ago, where you're on a plane ride and guys are gambling, and just to get into the game, the ante's $100, and it's a stack of $100. So you tell me, I mean, there's a lot of thousands of dollars in there, and I've heard some of the numbers. So it goes on. It's always gone on. If you're going to try to stop it now, go ahead. But it just seems like total hypocrisy, like you talked about, George, when you're allowing all these other sports agencies, sportsbook agencies to come in there, and you're taking money from them, but you're expecting your guys to do something different. It's just, I don't know.
Okay, here's the area where I think the NFL is serious. It appears that they have been able to infiltrate into these places, the DraftKings and the FanDuels, where basically the players, there are about 5 of them now that have gotten caught.
Yep.
And basically what it appears has happened is that those organizations have ratted out those players to the league and said, you got guys doing stuff.
Well, if they're doing that, then they're getting pressed on by federal agencies. They're getting pressed on, like, if you do not tell us something that one of your players or one of your organizational people have done, if you do not tell, you're going to get a hefty fine, and it's not going to be good. So that's why teams are ratting people out. And I can understand, I get that. That's really the only way you can do it, because it's money. Once again, it's money out of an organization's pocket. If they do not turn in the offense that somebody did, which I can understand how you go about that. And that's probably the only way to do it. A hefty fine on people that try to hide it.
So where do you think this is going?
I really don't know. I really don't know, George. I don't know. I think big businesses a lot of times tell you what you want to hear, but are they really meaning what they're saying? I don't know. It's been such a big deal. Even when I played, I just said it. These guys gamble. That's just one. They come into money. They've got a lot of money, and those guys can gamble on anything, George. I was somewhere with a bunch of young guys not too long ago, and they were talking about the hockey. They were talking about it was the Dallas Stars and somebody. I think it was the playoff game before, and it was like Dallas Stars won. I'm like, I know you guys don't like hockey, and they say, yeah, we bet on everything. And I'm like, that's just it's prevalent in our society now. It's always been prevalent, but now it's to the forefront. And I don't know if they can do anything about it or not, George. I think they talk about it, but it'll be interesting to see whether they do anything about it. Now, if they are getting leaned on by federal agencies or people in government to do something about it, and they get a hefty fine, then you're going to start seeing this more and more.
This is out of the New York Post. The NFL is reinforcing its gambling policy to its current and future players, as sports betting has not only become in-your-face prevalent, but exceedingly easy to do.
Yep.
And to take this a step farther.
You're talking about the 6 key rules?
Yeah.
Okay. Number 1, don't bet on the NFL.
Okay. That seems fairly.
That's obvious.
Number 2, don't gamble at your team facility while traveling for a road game or staying at a team hotel.
Okay, so what are you going to do to the guys that go into what are you going to do to the guys that go into a hotel room? They've set it up on the plane. Okay, we can't do it on the plane, but nobody's going to catch us in the room. So how are you going to? You can't police that.
Number 2 is laughable.
Yeah, number 3, don't have someone bet for you. That's a big one because,
and that's where some of the ratting out process is. Keep going.
Don't share team inside information.
I've heard that Kelly is not playing this year.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that one. I mean, that gives bettors an upper hand.
Don't enter a sports book during the NFL playing season. I don't think anybody, hopefully nobody would do that. Don't play daily fantasy football. I don't know any.
What has that got to do with it?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's dumb.
Well, Kelly's right. In today's society, you may have a young player that might still be interested in fantasy football if he doesn't play, if he doesn't get much playing time, and he, keeps a roster, checks. I mean, it's today's world, man. I mean, Kelly's right.
Okay, after the break, good stuff, by the way. I don't know that we came with any answers, but it is certainly an issue, and it's going to get more discussion. After the break, we will meet Music City Grand Prix CEO Matt Cruz. Stay tuned.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Skylar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from. And for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685. Now that the weather has gotten considerably warmer, there's not a better place to spend a morning or an afternoon than Riverside Golf Lanes. So you've probably noticed the weather has gotten a lot warmer, and that means a couple of things in Nashville. It means baseball, and it really means golf. And for me, it's a visit to Riverside Golf Links. The course has improved dramatically. There are now 27 holes, including a 9-hole executive course. If you want tee times or more information, dial them up at 615-847-5074.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between. Discover what Hit City has to offer. Single game tickets are on sale now.
Hello, this is Celeste Middleton, a State Farm agent in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I want to help my neighbors and local businesses be proactive and assess their risk before something unexpected happens. We want you to have a thorough understanding of your coverages to have the best protection when you need it. We can create a personal price plan for you. Our team has over 70 years of experience helping people in Middle Tennessee. We have an awesome team with integrity and provide honest and prompt communication, and we love what we do and genuinely care about everyone we work with at our office. Give us a call at 615-895-2700, send us a message at celestemiddleton.com, or walk in at our office at 803 North Thompson Lane in Murfreesboro. We would love to earn your business.
We promised earlier, we're going to learn a little bit more about the Music City Grand Prix. Matt Cruz is the CEO, has done a fabulous job in helping this put together over the last 2 or 3 years. Matt, thank you for the visit.
Man, thanks for having us. Yeah, it's hard to believe when you say that. We're going into our 3rd year. That's something I never dreamed we would see. That was when this was kind of a weird idea on a cocktail napkin 7 years ago. It's hard to believe that, 3rd year and fixing to, hopefully be announced some plans for, a much longer extension into the city of Nashville.
Tell me about the napkin. How do you just sort of plot this together?
It kind of came from, I worked in NASCAR for quite a while. Love Nashville, love my hometown, very proud of it. And, anytime we would go off and do a city event somewhere else or be around some of the street races like the Long Beach Grand Prix and the Toronto Grand Prix, I'd always come back to, man, Nashville's just a better town. It's just a better event town. It's what we do. I mean, nothing against those cities, but they're not in the event business. And that's what Nashville is. And it just, I laugh. I mean, we started 4 mayors ago on this project. And just to see, and timing's everything. And I think the longer it progressed and the longer it took for it to truly come to fruition, the better the city became to equip. So when it happened, it was the perfect time in the perfect city. And I think, just some of the numbers from our year one event, from attendance to TV ratings, it proved out that cocktail napkin theory that, nobody throws a better party than Nashville.
Matt, I know Butch Spearden was another one you all dealt with as you were kind of trying to sell this idea. What was everybody's initial reaction to what you were putting out there?
I think it was it changed over time for sure. There was always some hesitancy because, again, this was foreign to the market. But when we start hitting benchmarks like, the Stanley Cup Finals was one that kind of said, oh gosh, we could do something like this. Obviously, the draft kind of moved the needle, but I think it was as much anything as just, really, really trying to figure out and kind of, looking at what other cities do, but having people like Butch that believed in it. I remember we were down to, the critical pitch day. A bunch of us flew up to Indianapolis to sit down with Roger Penske. And Roger had just been informed, a little earlier in the day that some COVID restrictions were going to affect the crowd at the Indy 500. It was Roger's first year owning the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, so that's a huge thing for him. So needless to say, he was not in the best mood when the meeting started. And he was going through the problems of why street races are problematic. And, Butch, in his very quiet demeanor, said, well, Mr. Penske, you've never done business in Nashville. And there was like this dead pause in the room, and it did flip the room. And then Butch just kind of took it from there. So now he was a very instrumental figure in making this thing a reality for sure. So, yeah, I mean, obviously, hate to see him go. I mean, I've been to his eight of his 50 retirement parties, it seems like, in the last few months. I've never seen a victory lap in racing as long as Butch's is right now.
Matt, I told him I went to the one at the convention center where they had the grand ballroom. I was like, what the hell? Most of us are lucky to get a goodbye and don't let the door hit you. He has been on a tour.
Yes. I mean, that one had fried alligator, though. That one was pretty fantastic, if I remember correctly.
Oh, that's beautiful. So,
I mean, he's great. I mean, he nobody believes or sells the city better on a global platform than Butch. And I know Butch. I'm sure his team, the team there. I mean, they'll fit right in. They'll continue to move this city to whatever's next. And that's the thing. We've proven that the only thing that limits us is our imagination and our creativity. And I tell people all the time, I wish that they could plan an event with Metro, and that's everything from police to fire to public works to NDOT to TDOT. It's just different. I mean, it's just we're a yes city, and the answer is yes, and we'll figure out a way to get to it. Where so many other cities, you've got to go through 50 no's to get to a yes. Let's say yes and let's figure this out.
No, that's Butch, and as I've said before about Butch, he's done more in a 30-year period to help this city than any other human being. And so while we give him grief about the victory lap in retirement, this guy has earned it. So I got to ask you this. When you were at Middle and you were a football player there, much like Kelly, did you have all this going on in the background? Did you say to yourself, I'm going to be in sports?
Sports, yeah. I mean, like all of us, we assume we're going to go to the NFL. Only people like Kelly actually make it. So, sports are just another way to compete. I was not a race fan, growing through. My brother was. My brother's a year older than me, and like most, like most younger brothers, your brother's your hero. But my brother was a race fan, and coming out of college, working through some of the NFL evaluation process, I got to know Joey Allison at the time, who his uncle Davey was the biggest star on the planet at that point in time, and got exposed to that side of it. And it just sort of whetted my appetite for okay, yeah, there is a way to stay in sports. And just, I think I probably had a real job for a couple of years of my life, and then just sort of was able to get into it. And as I say, Forrest Gump my way along to stay in the sport. And, this led me to where we are today. But yeah, it goes back to, again, it's getting to compete. And it's not from a racing point of view, not from being on a track point of view, although on the team side that was fun. But, it's the business part of it's fun. Anytime you can work in a passion sport or passion industry, it really makes your day go fast.
So I do a commercial every day for the Music City Grand Prix. And I've been very honest. I've never been to one of these. And so, number one, I'm fascinated by what I'm about to see in August. Sure. But secondly, I really was caught off guard by a lot of people that were in the same boat as I'm going to be, had never been to one, and come away saying, this is one of the coolest things I've ever seen. So help me a little bit. Sure. Tell me what I'm going to see that's really going to get my attention.
Well, I mean, and that goes back to the business model of taking the event to where the people are. So that starts with that. I mean, you're going to see, we have something for everybody, but at its core, you're going to see the best drivers of the world driving in one of the best cities in the world. I mean, hitting speeds of nearly 200 miles an hour on the Korean Veterans Bridge, one of the only race tracks in the history of the world that's ever raced over a river. So you're going to see, I mean, IndyCar is, the competition in IndyCar this year has been incredible. I think we've got 7 winners now in 8 races. You've got a lot of hometown, connections to this. Joseph Newgarden, our current Indy 500 champion, 2-time Indy 500 winner. 2-time champion, recent Indy 500 winner. You've got him. Colton Hurd is now in Nashville. And Curtin was our inaugural pole sitter year 1. Led a ton of the first race. But you're going to see competition at its finest, and not just at IndyCar. Some of our most popular events throughout the weekend are our Stadium Super Series, our Stadium Truck Series, which is incredible. You got trucks flying through the air, 20 and 30 feet in the air. Our GT America race this year will be racing at night. So just the optics of cars sparking, going over the bridge, the lighting package on the KVB bridge, downtown as a backdrop. I mean, that'll be spectacular. The Trans Am, the TA2 series is one of our most competitive races on an annual basis. You're going to see a ton of content, but you're also going to see that immersive Nashville experience. We have incredible music lineups. We have 2 stages that really bring, some of the best. And we're not just a country genre event. I mean, Flow Rider is kicking off Saturday night on our main stage. So, we got everything from Flow Rider to Vince Neil of Motley Crue and all things in between. So incredible music. But as I said, we're just an extension of Nashville and the Music City experience. So one of the things we're really proud of this year is all of our 3-day ticket holders will have a Fast Pass armband that allows them priority access into all of our to the majority of the downtown honky tonks. So we're truly an immersive downtown experience, because when people leave, it's all about the experience. And we're in the hospitality business for sure, but partnering with downtown Nashville that does it 365 days a year is an incredible way for us to take a guest and really give them that true Nashville experience. But from a competition point of view, I mean, what you're going to see on track is incredible. I mean, we have some of the longest straightaways in IndyCar. It's just, there's so much diversity of our track, the uniqueness of these city street races. It really brings out the best in the track designers. Sitting right outside my office right now, Tony Koppman, who's considered one of the top track designers in the world. He worked on this design, for years. And he continues, he's been down there today. They're continuing thinking of a way to make this better, make it better action, for the driver and for the consumer, especially.
Kelly Holcomb will not be your grand marshal?
No, we have a prohibition against anybody from Lincoln County. Sorry.
Nice. I love it. Kelly, the floor is yours.
George, you're killing me. Oh, okay, so you made me lose my train of thought with that, George. Matt, we talked about it the other night, but when you talk about that bridge, what kind of safety precautions do you have to do to that bridge? Because Lord willing, we all want the cars to stay on the road, obviously, but every now and then those cars get airborne. What do y'all have to do anything on the bridge to keep somebody from going over into the water?
Well, I tell you what, the FIA and IndyCar specifically, I mean, safety is at a premium. And honestly, at its truest form, if we ever thought there was ability for the car to get above a fence, no matter where it was on property, we would take a look at that. And this is going to sound horrible, but I would, if that were to ever happen, which I don't, that's not in reality anymore. I mean, the fans, it wouldn't be fan protected, but obviously we do take precautions. We have divers in the water. They go through training as to how to extract someone in one of those vehicles. But IndyCar has been on the forefront of safety for years, and we're hoping to kind of take it to that next level. And that goes back to your and our university, Kelly. So we worked closely with the concrete science program at MTSU to develop, as you see behind me, the block and barricade system behind us came out of the college there. Dr. Heather Brown spearheaded that project. And what you see in Nashville and what was developed for the Nashville race specifically is now the gold standard. NASCAR will be running the streets of Chicago here in about another 12 days. Some of the very fencing you see behind us will be part of that event. We're actually building the track for them. But this new model that came out of Dr. Heather Brown and the program there at MTSU is now the gold standard that you see across F1 and across American motorsports, today.
So Matt, so you still are involved with NASCAR?
A little bit, not so much with this company, but my sister company, Bruco Marketing Group, they still do a lot of activations, a lot of the music events at NASCAR events still come out of Bruco. But yes, we at the Grand Prix, we're doing the infrastructure work or the barrier work at Chicago, and we do some of the bridges and some of the other stuff around the St. Louis NASCAR race. But then again, we're involved in some of the music offerings around other NASCAR events.
So why did you? Okay, so how did you get involved in the Indy racing stuff? Like I know it's all racing, but like how did you leave NASCAR and come do this for the Music City Grand Prix?
Well, up until now, NASCAR has really not pursued temporary street courses.
Right.
So the Chicago race will be the first time they've truly done something like that. And I just felt like, this model, Nashville's a big IndyCar market. We're always in the top 5 as far as IndyCar markets in American TV. Having Firestone's corporate headquarters here, right in downtown's, a huge driver of that. But I felt it was right for the market, and I think our timing was really good with the explosion of open wheel racing in 2021, based on the success of Formula One and Drive to Survive. It was a great rising tide that's really lifted our sport. So I think from a timing point of view, yes. And I think, again, IndyCar's just put on great street races. We'll see how NASCAR does in Chicago. But from a product point of view, IndyCar was the right fit for us for sure.
So I know it's probably, you've got to probably talk to a bunch of politicians. You probably got to talk to the mayor. You probably got to talk to the governor. How is that ever frustrating? How does that go about? Because I know you got to get certain things done through them. So how does those meetings go?
It's like anything else. I think it's just communication. I mean, it's literally just making sure that everybody is aware, everybody's signed off. We don't get everything we want for sure, but again, Nashville's an event city, and this is just part of it. So yeah, and even now, I mean, we're obviously closely looking at the next mayoral election. Very involved in various forms of both local and state government. But that's just part of it. I mean, we're no different than CMA Fest or the Titans.
Right.
They're all, I mean, who is in power. And I tell our staff all the time is, your local elections, they really affect your life more than national politics. So I encourage them to get involved, no matter who they support, because, it really, as I say, all politics starts at home, and who are our elected officials here, really affects our homes on a daily basis. So, but that's just, it is part of the game. It's part of big time sports now. Again, whether it's stick and ball, whether it's this, the political side is a big aspect to it.
So I know y'all probably.
I feel like the economic impact that we bring to the city, and then the exposure we bring to the city, is kind of our calling card. Our first race, we were the most watched IndyCar race in cable TV history, and we were broadcast in 180 countries. So let's talk about postcards for Nashville. Cars racing over the bridge into downtown Nashville, sunsetting in the background in 180 countries. That's as good a postcard as the city's ever had.
Yeah. How long is the race? How many miles is the racetrack?
The racetrack is 2.17. IndyCar will run right at 190 miles. during their race. But it's that's about the right size. Our track has some very technical areas, some very fast straightaways, some wide passing corners, and some narrow technical corners. So I think we kind of have the best of both worlds, and it really makes for great viewing. The cool thing about our event is we have multiple grandstands throughout the property. We have multiple suite options and multiple price points that really gives that consumer from top to bottom, and whether it's the least the least expensive general admission ticket, there is so much content, whether it be racing or music on our campus throughout the weekend, that it's true value to the consumer. And that's the one thing that we always try to harp on is, anybody, whether it be our general admission ticket or our suite buyers, everybody has access to all the music events, which is a big part of what we do.
Are you expecting more fans than you had last year? Obviously, you keep going, and it's obviously catching on here.
Yeah, I think so. I think you learn every year. I think you learn kind of more and more who your fan is. I think you learn how to market to that fan differently. So yeah, we continue to grow. We want to manage growth because again, the fan experience is so important. So, the fan experience is not just the racing; it's the, it's concessions, it's restrooms, it's speed through security, all the different things, ease of parking, messaging of traffic. All the things that when you come home and put your head on the pillow at night after attending an event, what affected your day. So we want to make sure that we always stay on top of those things and not overdo it or oversell it for that reason.
Gotcha. So being your third year, I know, has the racetrack changed any from the first year? Have y'all added some stuff or taken some stuff away, or will you do that in the future?
So we've added from a hospitality point of view, we're always kind of tinkering with our hospitality options. From a track point of view, yeah, but to the human eye, it's narrowing some corners, it's opening up some corners. It's more about that versus a lot of big fundamental changes. But we're always looking. Obviously, there's a football stadium going in on the East Bank that will affect what we do in the future. But we're really excited about where we're going from here. So as we start moving into 24, 25. We'll always change it. But if you look, that's not abnormal. If you look at Long Beach and some of the other iconic Grand Prix, the track design has continued to evolve over time.
Got you. Well, you got some great things going on, and I might, if I'm here, hopefully I'm here. I may hit you up and see if I can get down there as we leave with me. I'm sure George might have some more questions, but give me a good Coach Donnelly story, man.
Oh God, you probably got more than I do. He called me one night. So one night I'm sound asleep before a game. He calls me in the middle of the night and wakes me up. He says, "What were you doing?" I said, "I'm sleeping." Coach is like, "How can you sleep? You're going to lose a game for me tomorrow, and you can sleep." And I'm like,
"Okay." He told you.
So I mean, that's.
Oh, were you?
He would pat you on the butt. He would pat you on the butt and say, "Jog out there and miss it, and come back. Give me your excuse." Like,
hey Matt, were you on the team? Hey, were you on the team with Joe Lyle?
Yeah. No, we crossed over a little bit, but yeah, Joe was there my first couple of years. I thought you were saying Joe Campbell, but yeah. So yes, Joe was there.
Hey,
yeah,
you heard George?
I was there. I was there. I was there. The Joe Lyle story. Yes.
Let's hear.
Oh, you know the Joe Lyle story. You want to hear the Joe Lyle story, George?
Yeah. What the heck? Let's hear it.
Okay, so Joe Lyle is one of the kickers. So one day, Joe Lyle, I don't know if he's having a bad day or what, but Coach Donnelly said, "There's no way, son, that you can be from your mama and daddy's loins." And Joe Lyle goes, "Coach, I'm adopted." And he goes, "I knew it."
George, we would work all weekend on recruiting. And the last stop with a recruit, probably like we took Kelly, you go by Coach Donnelly's office. He had a specially made couch that you sunk down in it. He had a desk that's set up. And he would be like, "Son, you're sorry. Are your parents sorry? Did they raise a sorry child?" And it was like, "I don't think you understand this recruiting."
Matt, when he was at Father Ryan, one of his state title teams beat one of my BGA teams. It was like 35-6 at the half. And in truth, he called off the dogs. Well, the next year with Rob Fessmeyer, who was a great player who ended up going to Mississippi State, we snapped Father Ryan's 30-game winning streak, beat him at West End Junior High. This was in October of 75. And so Fessmeyer and I gave him a lot of crap over the years. And finally, one day, he got tired of it. And he said, let me tell you something. He said, if I had known what, and you can fill in whatever word you want to fill in, that you two were going to turn out to be, he said, I wouldn't have called the dogs off. He said, we'd have beaten you in the 70s. He said, you wouldn't have won the next year.
Well, the other thing, too, is he wore those 2 big championship rings, and he would just wear your helmet out with those things.
Oh, wear it out.
Your head, you just ring it.
Oh, this
funny
is
enough,
great.
last time, Coach Nye, the funniest thing is apparently they have one stock image of me at MTSU. So literally, I just broken the all-time MTSU scoring record of the season. And the only picture they got is him got me by the face mask, twisting it at about 15 degrees. Like, that's what they got, and that's what they use all the time.
Matt, promise me that you'll come back on sometime.
Oh,
We
love
may
to,
just do Boots Donnelly stuff.
Just do boots. Yeah, I didn't bring my best. I didn't bring my best boots impression today. Kelly's is pretty strong. That's pretty A-list right there.
I got a bunch of stories. I got a bunch of stories. We can do it all day.
We can do it all day.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Matt, thank you so much for the
Thanks,
visit.
brother. Appreciate it, guys. See you, Blue Raider.
Matt Cruz is the CEO of the Music City Grand Prix. We'll go to the break and we'll have more of the shows, so stay with us.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
You know, starting to save for your future doesn't have to be difficult. Let Wilson Bank and Trust help tone up your financial goals this year. Our certificates of deposits or CDs can help your money work harder with our competitive rates, earning you more than ever before. WBT checking options allow you to earn rewards you can really use, like a high interest rate or cash back on check card purchases when you meet some e-banking qualifications. Visit your closest Wilson Bank and Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
At Baird, we have a different slant on global financial advice. That global capabilities mean nothing without personal attention. We have investor relationships in 35 countries and market expertise in over 40 industry verticals, all to help make the most important investment connections of all, yours. Global financial advice with a client-first approach. It's the shape of things to come. Discover the Baird difference at BairdDifference.com.
Hey, thank you for meeting with me today. The insurance company has made an offer.
Already? Wow.
They've offered you the entire policy.
Thank you, Blair.
You're so welcome.
Welcome back in. Final segment on a Wednesday. Plaster's Bet Today, presented to you by Bart Durham Injury Law Firm. They are, simply put, the best in the business. They are lawyers you can trust. So give them a call at 615-242-9000 or log on to bartdurham.com. And for George, yet another W.
Reds keep it rolling
with the big red machine.
What sucks is they're playing a day game today, so I can't go with them again.
You were gonna.
And I thought about going the Giants, who have won 9 in a row, but every night they just eke one out against the Padres. So I've gone a little different. Kelly, we're 5 over. This is good.
You're betting well right now. There's no question.
Okay, so there was a big controversial play last night in the Texas White Sox game. Bruce Bochy, who lives in Nashville, who is a Hall of Fame manager, went off afterwards and likely will get, I don't know, fined or suspended or whatever. By the way, I think he's right. Even the White Sox announcers said that the call sucked. It involved a catcher blocking home plate on a big run in the game. Anyway, tonight, I'm going Texas Rangers to bounce back in Chicago against the White Sox. Kelly, jump on it.
Yeah, I can't tell you if that's good or bad. Wouldn't know.
It's good.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see tomorrow.
He says with virtually no certainty. Okay, there is some late news out of Memphis before we end the show, and it involves Penny Hardaway. Billy, what is the story?
Penny Hardaway has been suspended for 3 games next season due to recruiting violations dating back to 2021-22 season. So
shocking.
Yeah, that's the latest on Penny Hardaway in Memphis. I would guess that's all 3 games. That's it. I mean, maybe it gets extended, but that's it right now.
Anything happened to the school?
No, I didn't. I just saw a tweet come out today about that. I think they'll still obviously have some more details come out, but not sure about, the school itself.
Okay. Here are a couple of things before we end. Billy will run the show tomorrow and Friday. Another baseball trip, Kelly.
That's shocking. Hey, Billy, please be sure to give me who you're bringing on.
Has that been a problem again?
Well, I mean, he did really good the first day you were gone, and then the second day I waited around forever. I'm like, what is this guy doing? And then him
Kelly
and David called me. They were at Zany's or somewhere eating lunch, and I mean, they decided to call me and tell me what's happening.
Zany's. We were at the nightclub.
Yeah,
we were at the
comedy club was shake time, baby.
You're not getting the kind of help that I have demanded.
Sorry to throw him under the bus, but no.
Kelly, listen to this. Billy had today's lineup last night from George. Billy sent it to me way too late, like 30 minutes before the show.
Well, George, I got on the computer, and we already know that I'm not a technical guy anyway, but I can get on what I need to get on here, and I got on there, and there's no link. And this was 10 minutes before the show, and I'm like, what are we doing? Like, can we get the link? He's like, be patient, Hoss.
Billy is that guy that needs to be on College Game Day. You had one job, Billy, and you're not doing that one job.
Come on, man.
Well, no, I have more than one job. That's certainly not true.
Hey, cry.
Woe is me, Billy.
Not so fast.
Woe is me.
How does he do that? Not so fast. So when I get back, I believe I'm going to be able to do this on Monday. I'm going to announce the 3rd of our sports speaker series presented by Wilson Bank and Trust. And I can tell you, it is going to be a doozy. It's going to get your attention.
A doozy, huh?
Doozy.
Wow.
Doozy.
Can't wait.
Big time. Kelly, behave while I'm gone.
See you, George. Be careful, man. Have fun.
Thank you. Billy.
George.
Get Kelly the info he needs.
I'll make sure Kelly has everything he needs.
David.
Yes,
Work
sir.
on this while we're gone.
He's a lost cause. He's no hope.
Listen, all of you enjoy the next few days. NHL draft is in town next week. This is going to be a busy place, this Ford Ice Center. So we got a lot coming on the show. Thanks for being with us. Billy will see you tomorrow.